Nigeria Super Falcons appear to have sent a clear message to the rest of Africa. Write them off at your own risk. The 9-time African champion produced their most convincing performance at the tournament, thrashing Egypt 6-2 in Rabat to book their place in the quarterfinals of the 2026 Women Africa Cup of Nations. Having recovered from an opening defeat to Malawi, the Falcons have now won back-to-back matches and seem to be gathering momentum for exactly the right time. But as these emphatic victories answer the questions surrounding the team, or are there still concerns about the knockout stage before the knockout stage begins? We have our correspondent Onyinyechi Obaroh, who has been following the tournament in Morocco, and she is joining us right now. Good morning, Onyinyechi.
Oh, let's get this started. So there was a lot of hyping going on before we started this morning. But now let's get into what you are there to do, Onye. So after this disappointing opening defeat to Malawi, many fans were beginning to question whether this team could still defend its title. It's difficult to be a reigning champion. So what changed against Egypt? Was this simply a weaker opponent, or did we genuinely see a different Super Falcons side?
Tolu, I'm telling you, a lot's changed with the Super Falcons after that opening defeat against debutant Malawi. The thing is, the girls, we know that they did not have enough preparation as defending champions into this competition, but at the time when they faced up with Malawi, it felt like an opening daybreak for them. It was an eye-opener for them to tell them that every single team in the competition wants to beat the Super Falcons of Nigeria. And if they really want to make it an 11th title, they have to tighten their loins to make sure that they live up to that name, being the defending champions of this competition. But I tell you, for everyone who have lost their hope, after yesterday's game against Egypt, it is that time for you to go dust all your hopes, dust those faith, dust your love for the Super Falcons, because they're not here to come snap picture, as they say. They're here for real business. That opening defeat against Malawi, we saw how everyone blamed the goalkeeper, Chiamaka Nnadozie. But when they played Zambia and they won with just one goal, Nnadozie was very emotional after that encounter, after the final whistle was blown. And we saw how other players had run to her to give her a hug. It meant that there was something hidden. There was something, you know, she could not share, or she could not share to the world, that really hampered her game in that game against Malawi. But it's a great thing that after that fall, after that setback, the Super Falcons have been able to dust themselves up and are giving us every single love that we've always had for them.
Scoring 6 goals in a tournament match is no small feat, Onyinye. From your vantage point in the stadium, what impressed you most about Nigeria's performance? Was it the movements, the confidence in possession, the attacking combinations, or just the simple belief that the team played with?
It was that never say die spirit, Kathleen. I tell you, it was just that never say die spirit. I've never lost hope in the Super Falcons of Nigeria, even when they are down. No matter what goal the deficit, no matter how many that they go down on, they would always fight back. They would always come back. We saw how they started off the first half against Egypt. Now, everyone felt like Egypt shouldn't have been a hard nut to crack, because every single team in this group, in Group C, Malawi, Zambia, they had Egypt for a piece of cake. So defending champions, you should live up to it. You shouldn't struggle against a side who is returning to this competition after 10 years of being absent at this competition. So you shouldn't struggle. Everybody expected a lot. We felt like if Zambia had opened the game against Egypt with 6 goals, then you should be able to put 10 against them as defending champions, or even more. So the first half wasn't like we wanted or like we anticipated. But the second half, we saw the Super Falcons pushing the Egyptian ladies to make little mistakes in the final third. And that's the reason why they scored 3 penalties from that encounter from the 6 and 3 goals from open play. It was a masterful performance, and that never say die spirits from them.
All right, this looked like the most cohesive, attacking display we've seen from the Falcons so far. Do you think the players have fully developed the chemistry needed to challenge for another continental title, or is it still too early to make that call?
I think it's too early to make that call, because what I can perceive from the performance on that game against Egypt, it felt like they have not really woken up to the demand that you should live up to your defense of the title. It's a 16-team, an expanded tournament. Before now, you should have anticipated that there will be surprises, there will be upsets, there will be history made at the competition. Small teams will want to show that making it to the finals of this competition, to this stage of the competition, was never a fluke in the first place. So the fact that they qualified, they earned it. So they would want to show it, and they would want to show it against big sides. We saw in the other group where South Africa, they are 2022 champions, they were bottom on the group. But later they had to get that awakened spirit and then now qualified out of that group. Same with Nigeria. It will not be heard of if Nigeria doesn't make it out of a group that's got Malawi, a debutant, that has got Egypt, who is returning after 10 years, and Zambia, who we trashed 5 in the previous competition in 2024. So you'd expect more from them. The chemistry at the moment, I'm sure that after that defeat against Malawi, it was a wake-up call for them. It was certainly a wake-up call for them. But I tell you, every single person in the stadium wants Malawi. By all the calculations of how opponents will go, might likely not face up with them, but everybody wants Malawi, because we need to correct that mistake. We need to rewrite that history being made and, you know, trash them more. Tell them that shoe get size. Don't outshine your master.
So, Onye, you mentioned mistakes just now, and I know scoring 6 goals doesn't necessarily mean everything is perfect. It means it's a clear, definitive win, but it doesn't mean it's perfect. Nigeria still conceded twice. So were there any defensive lapses or tactical weaknesses that you think the coaching staff should be eager to address before they face stronger opposition, particularly now in the quarterfinal stage?
Yes, there were a lot of loopholes we saw, but a coach will live and die by his decision. That's what they say around football, because he makes the final decision. He knows what player should start, what player is fit enough to start. And knowing the fact that we had 2 players out of even the starting lineup or the substitute bench. We had Jennifer Echegini and also Dimei Oluwatosin out. We're not even in the touchline of this game against Egypt. So he had 2 players out. So he was ready to work with what he had in the touchline. And knowing that some players also he would want to rest them, knowing that he's got that confidence that he would make it out of this group into the next round of the competition, which is where the girls have been separated from the women, as they would say. So he would want to feel his best legs in the next round of this competition. So there were some loopholes, there were some players played out of their position, but I tell you that Michelle Alozie, who has played not in her natural position, did wonderfully well. She struggled a bit, but that never say that spirit from the Super Falcons of Nigeria did show on her, and she was able to pull through. The second half, we saw a little bit of changes, and knowing that he brought in new players, Monday Gift, who was the name that was really with the controversies around the last AFCON in 2024, got her time, and she was on the score sheet this time around against Egypt. Great. That really earned the fact that she was supposed to be in the squad in 2024. We also had a first-timer at the Women's African Cup of Nations, Joy Omewa. Joy Omewa scored a hat-trick in an international friendly against Senegal, where we had 2-way friendly against them in Ikene. Now she's making her first WAFCON encounter appearance for the Super Falcons of Nigeria, and she was on the score sheet after she was substituted into the match. So it was great to see that everybody had something to prove. Everybody had a story to tell. They wanted to put their name on the score sheet. They wanted to make their mark and tell people that the reason I was scored in the final list of this squad was never a fluke. I earned it. And there was something the coach saw, and that's the reason why I'm part of this final squad to the WAFCON. So I'm believing that they will take that eye-opener with them. They'll take that realization with them when they go into the quarterfinal where they face Cameroon. Now, I tell you, Tolu, this is where we are crossing our fingers, because when you talk about 2 physical sides in African women's football, call Cameroon, they are very physical. They are like-minded, like their male national team. and they are always a big struggle for the Super Falcons of Nigeria. The Super Falcons will have to field physical players, experienced players, and they've got 3 experienced players in the squad. Onyinyechi Obaroh, who is the defensive line, Asasato Shuala, who has been to this competition back to back, and Francisca Odega. So I'll be hoping that Coach Madugu, he's got a game plan against a physical side like Cameroon. So there's a lot to put together. But the Super Falcons, please, I'm using this opportunity to tell them, do not put us in this position anymore that we have to buy calculators, begin to do permutations. We've never done this before for the Super Falcons of Nigeria. It's always with the Super Eagles. Please, cut us some slack.
Yeah, thank you so much. We know there's a lot of anticipation in the air, and I think things have definitely also changed within the Super Falcons camp. So we will be riding on that anticipation, on their victory as well, and we'll continue to check in with you in Morocco. So thank you so much, Onyinyechi.